Congress declares war, not the President of the United States. I left the briefing yesterday evening, and I had more questions than when I got there. It was pretty clear there's not an adequate plan. There's most certainly not congressional authorization, and the justification is ever changing. We've heard 3 or 4 different justifications for why this is taking place. And we all know that the Iran regime is bad. It's terrible. It is absolutely terrible. But still, you need Congress in order to declare war. Congress did not participate in this. The American people and the Congress need to know the proper information, the proper reasoning, the proper justification, and there has been no honest answer to those questions. I'm here to say I'm a yes vote on the War Powers Act, and I'm a very strong no on any more forever wars. And I'm going to turn it over to, is Jason here?
Next. You mind if I?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I'll go, and then. I particularly wanted to ask Representative Thompson to go for 2 reasons. One, he is the only veteran among us and one of only 2 in the Congress that served in combat in Vietnam. And 2, and he didn't say this because he's a humble guy, in his beginning of his service in Congress, he voted against sending myself and many up here to war in Iraq. And so we see history, if not repeating, certainly rhyming, and I think it's why, for me anyway, and I think a bunch of us, it is especially important, and we take very seriously and solemnly the duty to ask the hard questions that weren't asked before a lot of us were sent and before a lot of us lost our brothers and sisters in arms. And I just want to say briefly on my end, I love this country. I love the United States of America to the point that, like everybody here, I signed up to serve and risk my life. And then I lost brothers and sisters who had that same love for country and love for each other. And I've been thinking a lot in the last 3 or 4 days since this war was declared. And let's be clear, this is a war, despite rhetoric from the administration and confusion otherwise. What is the best way to honor the individuals whose names I still wear on this bracelet that I lost in combat? And to me, it's to speak out. It's to say another generation should not go fight in an open-ended, ill-conceived regime change war in the Middle East. And to be very clear what tomorrow's vote is, it is not a procedural or administrative vote. It's not theoretical. And yes, it is about war powers, and that's what it's called, but it's really a vote. And a vote about whether we want another war, whether we want more flag-draped coffins of young Americans, and we've already had 6 coming home. And so every American deserves to know, at a minimum, where does your representative stand on sending our blood and treasure overseas versus spending it here at home, on lowering our costs, on our education system and our infrastructure, and so much more. So I also will be a yes vote tomorrow and a no vote on funding or any other support for another forever war anywhere, and certainly in the Middle East. Did Jason show up? Jason's not here yet. You need to... next on the list, unless you good? I'm good. All right. We're subbing in Mr. Vindman from Virginia.
Thank you, Pat, and thank you to all of my veteran colleagues. So for those of you that don't know, I served 25 years in the United States Army as an infantry officer, a paratrooper, and as a JAG, and I deployed to Iraq. And my twin brother was wounded in an IED attack in Iraq, a Iranian manufactured explosively formed projectile. And so I will not be shedding a tear for the Iranian regime and the Ayatollah. I understand the threat, but I also understand that the wars are easy to start and hard to finish. And this one, let us not make a mistake, was a war of choice. what we heard yesterday was a series of lies about, and the story keeps changing, whether it was imminent or not, whether there had to be a response. This was a war of choice. This is a commitment of American blood and treasure to a conflict that we didn't need to be engaged in. And I know from my personal experience and from the experience of many of the folks that are here with me today that in our last wars in the Middle East, they were measured in years and American blood and American treasure. So no, Americans are stretched thin. Gas prices are up, utility bills are up, grocery prices are up, all while Republicans are giving billionaires handouts. And you know what's expensive? A war with Iraq. So earlier today, there's already a tracker on the projected cost of the war in Iraq, and it's going up $2,500 a second. It's well over, I think, $2.5 billion. Somebody can correct my math on that one, but it's been an hour since I last checked, so it's a lot more expensive. So instead of focusing on lowering costs at home, we're drifting towards another open-ended conflict in the Middle East, where 6 Americans have already been killed, 3 jets have been shot down by friendly fire. These losses are not just financial. We all know that have served in war. They're borne by families that receive a knock on the door in the dead of night. Congress must act now to check the president's power and choice of war and refocus our efforts on lowering costs for the American people and keeping our troops out of unnecessary danger. All of these things come at a cost. As we're expending hundreds of millions of dollars in interceptors, those are coming at a cost of supporting our allies in Ukraine and preparing for contingencies in China, something that we all need to be concerned about. And that's why I'm joining my colleagues in the Democratic Veterans Caucus in supporting the War Powers Resolution. So we stop writing blank checks overseas while American families struggle here at home. And we stop risking American lives without a clear, lawful path forward. Again, this war is a violation of international law. It's also a violation of domestic law in that it was not authorized by Congress. There's no authorization for military force. Whatever lies my colleagues on the other side are saying and the administration are saying, those are facts. We owe it to the American people and to our troops to put a stop to this madness. Thank you. And with that, I have the privilege of introducing my friend and colleague, Congressman Seth Moulton.
Chris Deluzio.
Oh, my friend and colleague, Chris Deluzio.
Thanks. That's it. Thank you, Eugene. Thanks. Glad to be joined with my fellow Democrats and fellow veterans in the Congress. We all swore an oath in uniform. We've all sworn that same oath here in the Congress. We all love this country. I think that's exactly why we see so clearly that this is a war that we do not need to be fighting. We do not need to be having Americans go fight. It's a war of choice. It's a foolish one. It is one the American people in the Congress have not authorized, have not said that Americans should go spill their blood and risk their lives for this. My standard for whether we send Americans to fight is a pretty straightforward one. I think it's one that makes a lot of sense. Can you look the American people in the eye, people of fighting age, and say this is something you should be willing to risk your life and die for? And what I see out of the Republicans and this president, they haven't even tried. And if they were to try, the American people would say no, because they understand this is not a war that we have to fight. Our generation of veterans, so many will bear the cost for as long as they are alive of the last Middle East regime change wars, the forever wars that so many of us served in. Those too, especially Iraq, justified by lies. And what are we seeing? Billions of dollars spent, 6 Americans dead, more wounded. This administration has no problem finding billions of dollars to go fight a war the American people didn't authorize while taking health care away from people, while taking away food stamps, while taking a sledgehammer to the VA that we will have to fight them to fund when these folks become veterans and come back home who need health care and benefits that they've earned. That's who these folks are. So we're saying, no, let's pass this War Powers Resolution. And before we get into some legal argument, and by the way, this is a war, we get into a legal argument about the War Powers Resolution. What did Pete Hegseth today say? He called this war because of course it is. So they can have their legal arguments they're wrong. They can have the facts on the ground, which is this is a war. a war the American people do not want, a war that we are going to try to stop. That's what our Constitution requires. That's what our oath requires. Is Maggie here? Okay, I'm proud to introduce my friend from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Seth Bolden. I got him before he got me. That's what Donald Trump, the commander-in-chief, said about launching a war with Iran and killing the Ayatollah. Nothing about protecting America, nothing about our allies, nothing about a strategy or an end goal, nothing about the 6 Americans already dead. Just all about himself. 6 U.S. service members are dead, and Donald Trump has signaled that more casualties are coming. That's acceptable to him. As long as Donald Trump is alive, seems like a good trade. The math works out, a good deal, the art of the deal. 6 dead for his life. It's not lost on any of us that this is the man who was more than happy to let someone else go in his place.
All right, that was House Democrats earlier today speaking out against U.S. action that is happening right now in Iran. We will take a 2-minute break. Stay right here with us. More to come on Live Now from Fox. Coming back in just moments. And welcome back, everyone, here to Live Now from Fox. I'm your host, Mike Page, as we continue to roll on, bringing you the very latest on the happenings going on right now in the Middle East. This all coming as the U.S. State Department started to begin evacuations across the Middle East for stranded Americans, but some airspace in the region remains closed, and disruptions at U.S. embassies are creating logistical challenges for people trying to leave. Right now, Fox News' Amalia Roy joining us in our Phoenix newsroom with the very latest on how people in the U.S. government are trying their very best efforts.
Good evening, Mike. And yes, the State Department, they're trying to work through those challenges. At the same time, Israeli airspace is starting to open up starting tonight. But those initial flights are for bringing Israelis back home. I've spoken to a few Americans over there who are just trying to figure it all out. This has been the reality in Israel since Saturday. Jenna Fonberg and her friend Jetlyn Toledo landed in Tel Aviv just a week ago.
drone hai be. Abhi live drone hai. Gya idhar kya drone tha.
In and out of bomb shelters with Jenna's brother Blake.
Arey wo wala drone tha.
We have a lot of new faces today because it's kind of close to the beach. So this is a lot of new people that are walking on the boardwalk just running here.
They have a flight home from Israel scheduled for Sunday. And they're hoping it sticks because they don't want to leave through Egypt or Jordan.
We're just like, let's ride the wave and see what happens, because I feel safer being near a bomb shelter and being able to run in when I need it, rather than driving 3 hours, 5 hours to Jordan or Egypt and just covering my head if I hear a siren.
Ben Suster was at the tail end of his honeymoon when the missiles began flying.
We woke up Saturday morning and literally we had a minute of peace, not exaggerating, of a second later, we hear the first siren.
After days of making a bomb shelter their home, the newlyweds found a way out through the nonprofit Gray Bull Rescue. But for security reasons, the group isn't sharing many details about their departure.
We don't even know what tomorrow's going to look like. We were told what the final destination would be, but when that happens, how we're getting there, not a clue. No idea what our route's going to be.
Suster said they felt safe in Israel, but they need to get home to Florida in time for his sister's wedding.
Today, the State Department says that nearly 18,000 Americans have been brought home, have come home since the beginning of this operation. About 8,500 of those coming back yesterday. And they're still encouraging U.S. citizens abroad to enroll in the Smart Traveler Enrollment Program to get any updates. In Phoenix, Amalia Roy, live now from Fox.
Amalia, thanks so much for those updates. We always appreciate it right here on Live Now from Fox. We want to show our viewers the number as well as the website that the State Department is urging those that are overseas right now and wanting to come home. That number 1-202-501-4444 or step.state.gov right there. All right, everyone, we will take another 2-minute break. Stay right here with us. More to come on Live Now from Fox in moments.
Mainsail, this is Platinum, maintain nothing, Charlie, Bravo, wind, say again, Alpha, Charlie, Foxtrot, correct, request you authenticate, Foxtrot, Oscar, go, Foxtrot, Oscar, go, over. Mainsail, this is Platinum. I have position checking out net at 331 Zulu. No further assistance is requested. This is
The Americans have been mostly focusing on the south and the naval bases and the vessels, but they also decided to start hitting the government buildings. Let's go to Tehran. this is compared to previous nights since the beginning of the conflict. This was absolutely insane. Even if you compare it to the first hour when the Israelis and the Americans hit the Khamenei's compound, they did drop 30 bombs on the main buildings, but this was crazy. We have also a quick updates from Iraq. According to the Ministry of Electricity, yeah, they have one of those. In Iraq, just have a general energy one, but they can't apparently. There is now a total blackout in most parts of the country following the latest round of attacks by the IRGC. Huge part of Iraq. Now, after this, we had a quick update and a statement from the Americans directly addressing the Iraqis and, of course, anybody else who is in Iraq, including the allies. The State Department said to Iraq, the US government cares about your safety and will continue to share information that you need to make informed decisions. US citizens in Iraq are strongly encouraged to depart as soon as they can, and they are safely able to do so, and shelter in place until such time as conditions are safe to depart. Have a supply of food, water, medications, and other essential items. This is the latest high alert statement for all those who are currently in Iraq, especially the US citizens. And we will go back to Iraq, and then we're going to talk about the Kurdish regions as well. Let's quickly go back to the capital, the latest videos of the strikes. These are the government buildings, not necessarily the military sites. Now, there were also massive clashes in Najaf, which we reported earlier on briefly. That also resulted in the blackouts, Najaf in Iraq. But there is a bit of a retaliation right now from Iraq. If you joined us now, this is Tehran, the capital of Iran. Tonight. Now, let's also talk about the IRGC militias and members on the ground in Iran, because what do you think they've been up to so far? Because we've had the military personnel trying to launch missiles and launch drones, and the rest of them are busy trying to sort out their air defense systems. The rest of them, they've got nothing else to do. So what they've decided to do earlier tonight, the IRGC started to ride around and drive around on the streets of Tehran and other cities. Major crowd. I'm going to show you the video. But they started chanting something very interesting. During the uprising, the Iranian people were chanting, "This is the final battle. Pahlavi will return home," which makes sense. He's currently not home. They want to take him home. The IRGC guys are now on the streets chanting, "This is the final battle." At least they acknowledge that. Khamenei is returning. What is happening? This is the final battle. Khamenei will return. Number one, he's a little bit dead. Number two, you can't steal other people's chance. Number three, if you're talking about Moshtaba, his son, he doesn't need to return. He's already there. Although we don't even know where he is right now. This is fascinating. But this wasn't it, because how many people do we have there? Like 15? I don't know, maybe. Earlier today, in Tehran, we also had a huge crowd, a massive crowd of pro-IRGC supporters out protesting against the war. In reality, about 20 people turned up. Look at those guys near the cars. There's like 15 there, 5 over there. Right? Look at them. Oh, there's another 2 coming down. Well, I'm sorry, it's not 20, it's 22 people. There are 2 more people are joining them. They're just coming down from the stairs. So big crowd supporting the regime right now. The problem is, they do have the crowd, because about 5% of the population are supporters of the IRGC. They are the Islamic occupiers. 5% is a minority, but it's a big country of over 90 million people. So you can get 4 to 5 million people out. But they don't want to come out in the middle of war, because even they're not that stupid. They got these guys coming out. Let's quickly go back to what President Trump is doing. The US military continue to target government buildings. The Israelis are also doing the same anyway. Let's go to Buchan, as the governor's mansion has been destroyed. Another one. Now, Now let's quickly talk about the issue around the Kurds. So, in case you don't know, you've got Kurds everywhere. You've got the Iranian Kurds, you've got the Iraqi Kurds, you've got Kurds in Turkey, you've got Kurds in Syria, and they're not all the same. There are different types of groups, different types of motives. So there's still a huge chunk of Kurds in all these countries who are separatists, right? But they are separatists for different reasons. For example, in Syria, we support the Kurds because obviously they don't want to be completely destroyed. And under Assad, they were not being recognized as legitimate Syrian citizens. Although Al-Julani's made some big promises recently. With Turkey, obviously the Turks continue to kill them. So that's a whole different thing. The Iranian Kurds, the actual Iranian Kurds are Iranian, and they also, a lot of them have been going around during the uprising, chanting, "This is the final battle, Pahlavi is returning." The normal Iranian Kurds, they support a united Iran. You also have some Iranian separatist Kurds, but most of the separatist Kurds in that part are in Iraq, or the Iraqi Kurdistan. The IRGC started hitting them in Iraq, well, the Iraqi Kurdistan, and there were massive clashes between the IRGC and the Kurds. Things kicked off. The Americans also intervened slightly. Let's go to the video first, from what we had earlier, and then we started getting some rumors, and I'm going to explain the problem with fake news. So a lot of the IRGC forces were also targeted in retaliation. So, following this, we started getting some updates, initially from Israeli journalists and then Fox News, saying that Iraqi Kurds have launched a ground invasion into Iran. I waited for a bit. And hang on, something is... hang on, there's a very fascinating comment in the live chat right now. Tusi, why are you not on your own channel? Where do you think I am? BBC News? It's literally called Tusi TV. It's literally after my name. Because, you know, I don't have a big ego, but I don't know what that was about. They said the Iraqi Kurds are invading, and I waited. I was like, okay, let's wait for this. I knew something was going to happen. Then the Iraqi Kurds, the separatists, one of the big groups said, that's fake news. We don't know what they're talking about. We're not doing anything. And then you had the small minority of the so-called Iranian Kurds who are separatists. They also said, we're not part of this. The actual Iranian Kurds, who are not separatists, they were defending themselves, as they've done even during the uprising. The separatist Kurds said, we're not involved in this because the Iranian Kurds are pro-Pahlavi. But everybody was going around saying, well, the separatists are coming. The separatist Kurds are dangerous. And obviously they want to break up Iran and it was going to be chaos. But there are still, as I said, there are different types of Kurds. The Kurds that deal with the Turkish government, they have a whole different issue. The ones in Syria, big problems in the past and even now, and in Iraq as well. Then you got the normal Iranian Kurds that just want to be Iranian, just give them autonomy, like a devolved administration, but they want to be part of a normal Iran. The separatist Kurds say that they might still do a ground invasion at some point, but they haven't. This is why when people were going around listening to Fox News or the Israeli mainstream media, this is what happens before you fact check everything. So we already had the separatist group saying it wasn't us. So everybody panicked saying, well, this is going to be dangerous, but actually it wasn't them. Then we had all the other issues around the different groups coming out, obviously including the Kurdistan Democratic Party. And a lot of the Iranian Kurds who are pro-Iran, they don't want anything to do with this because this will just break up the whole country. Having said that, those who are dealing with other countries in the region, those lovely Kurds, including in Syria, they need to be supported because they've got nowhere else to go. In Iran, the Iranian Kurds are supported. They are fine. They can live in Iran freely as Kurds. But in the other places, obviously, they are getting killed. So those guys need their own independence. You need to support their self-determination rights. Now, going back to the capital in Iran, and then we're going to give you we're going to debunk some fake news again, thanks to CENTCOM. Let's go to Tehran. Massive hits. Now, let's debunk some more fake news. Fact-checking time, thanks to information coming from CENTCOM. Right, so the Islamic Republic, the regime's media, I'm frozen. Oh, I'm back, okay. I don't know if I was frozen for you guys as well. The regime media in Tehran said, they claimed that the United States forces are withdrawing from Iran. According to Central Command, the US forces are expanding strikes deeper into the Iranian airspace by the hour. Now, that was an easy one to debunk. Anyway, the IRGC also said that they sank a US destroyer earlier today without providing any evidence. The United States and the US forces so far have sunk over 20 Iranian regime vessels. They did it obviously from the air, land, and sea. That is the reality. The Islamic Republic also claimed to have taken down US fighter jets. According to CENTCOM, over a four-day period, the US forces have reduced the Islamic regime drone launchers by 73% and ballistic missile launchers by 86%. And the Americans are fine. The regime have also said that they've killed 100 US Marines over the last 4 days. I have a feeling that the Islamic Republic in Iran have been getting their media training by Pakistan. If you remember the short conflict between Pakistan and India, But the Indians annihilated the Pakistani military within hours. Pakistanis were going around celebrating that they have won the war and said that they basically dismantled the Indian military, and they voluntarily decided to stop killing the Indians because Pakistanis are very, very generous, apparently, according to Pakistanis. The fact is that the US military power projection capability is unmatched, and no harm has been done during the active operations. Now, of course, we had a few US personnel who were unfortunately killed, and that was in Kuwait because they were just stationed in more of a civilian port area, a temporary site, and the IRGC managed to hit them. They were not part of the active operation, and that's all down to the chaos around Kuwait and the Kuwaiti defense. Big problems in Kuwait for over incompetence, let's just say, compared to the impressive defense we've been seeing over the last. Back to Iran, let's go to Tehran Pass, the latest updates on the strikes. Yeah, I'm just getting some updates while you guys watch that. I got some smoke over there. We're getting some unconfirmed reports that are coming from Turkey. The Turkish government now claim...
She's dead.
Wait, what? Okay, we may have a, well, not we, but the Islamic Republic may have a big problem. Earlier today, we reported that a ballistic missile was launched from inside the Iranian territory and was coming down in Turkey. It was intercepted by the NATO forces of Turkey because it was actually hitting Turkey. The Islamic Republic's response was, we didn't mean to hit you. We were actually aiming for Cyprus, which obviously the Turks said, well, that doesn't really help. But your missile was actually coming down. We had to intercept it. But that was it. The Turks said that we will respond harshly. We are now getting another claim by the Turks that in a separate incident, not just the missile, apparently an Islamic Republic drone has also hit. Now this could be a big problem because that means that the Islamic Republic directly hit a NATO member state. But if this gets confirmed by NATO, obviously this is a claim by the Turks, then there will have to be at least some sort of pre-military diplomatic response. There could be retaliation that doesn't necessarily have to be directly military, but NATO could send more resources in the name of defense to the region to counter the IRGC. Now, meanwhile, in the United Kingdom, in case you didn't know, we did report this yesterday. I don't know why I keep buffering, by the way. I keep freezing every few seconds. Let me know in the live chat if you also get the freeze thing, or is it just me? Manchester and I think Birmingham or London, a couple of places in the UK, decided to have a vigil for Ali Khamenei, Ali the Mouse, or Mushali. We've had also vigils in Moscow, Russia, and a number of other countries, right? Weird. But in Manchester tonight, in England, The anti-IRGC guys did not let the pro-IRGC people have a peaceful vigil for a terrorist. They decided to go to Manchester and counter their funeral, memorial, whatever you want to call it. Watch this chaos. There we go. That's so funny. So these are the Iranians who decided, with the support of a small group of Jewish community and British patriots, they all went to Manchester and they decided to have a party on the streets outside the vigil and memorial for Ali Khamenei. If the British government don't want to take action against these terrorists, if the police don't want to stop this, it's okay, because we got normal people out there disrupting these terrorist events. So amazing. Right, now let's quickly go back to Tehran. I think we've got the let's quickly go to the latest video that's just coming from the attacks, and then we're going to get your reaction quickly. Just going to check some of the updates while we're here as well. Saudi Arabia. The Ministry of Defense in Saudi Arabia have now confirmed that they have intercepted 3 cruise missiles from Iran. So, 3 missiles have been intercepted now, cruise missiles, by Saudi.
افکار امینو زد با پشت خونه من همون دانشگاه افسری به زنگ میزنم دارم فیلم میگیرم به زنگ میزنم خدا.
Syria. Situation in Syria by the IRGC. Hang on. Oh. The Islamic Republic have just launched again against Turkey. What on earth are they doing? Turkey. Okay, so another missile launched towards Turkey, but the good news is it was intercepted, but you won't believe where, in northeastern Syria. What is going on over here? Okay, so let's quickly go and see this. This is the missile, IRGC missile that was just intercepted. We don't know by whom exactly. Could have been the Syrian government, Syrian military, but it was heading towards Turkey directly. It's incredible. Right, okay, so we're not really sure what they're up to, because we just reported the claim by the Turks that a drone hit them earlier, and now they're saying that this missile was going towards Turkey, but it was actually shot down in Syria, northeastern parts of Syria. All right, so while we double check these claims, let's have a look at the situation in Beirut. Doha seems to be quite peaceful, which is the first. But let's double check. Let's quickly go to the capital of Lebanon. We saw some smoke earlier. Yeah, okay. Now let's get some reaction while we're here. Will Azerbaijani troops on border enter Iran? We don't know what the plan is when it comes to the northwestern parts of Iran. I think there's going to be different phases and steps into this conflict, and we haven't seen big things yet. And President Trump did say, and Pete Hegseth, Secretary of War, said bigger things are about to happen. Persian Diner, North London, to celebrate in. Can you help? What? Help with what? I can't cook. If you want me to help cook for a diner,
launched Operation Epic
yeah, I'm not really
Fury.
sure what you want me to do.
Most
Or wash
lethal,
dishes?
most
I don't know.
complex.
This seems to be going much smoother than the Iraq War, actually. Well, yeah. The thing is, when you learn from failed experiments, and also you evolve on a military level, you realize that when you deal with the regimes like the Islamic Republic, you don't necessarily have to carpet bomb the capital, like Dresden, for example. And with the technology that the militaries have these days, they can just do precise targeted attacks and even targeted assassinations, which they've done without destroying everything else. And you just literally paralyze the regime. Things will go smoothly, and you won't lose your own troops when you're doing the attack, and people will be ready to take over afterwards. Someone says, we are in Kuwait and big fan of you. Thank you so much, everybody watching from all around the world. I hope you guys are safe, despite the defense system issues in Kuwait. Not really sure what's going on over there. Love Kuwait, by the way. Great people. Doesn't this technically make this the second Iran-Iraq war? It's also, you can make an argument that this is also the first Iran-UAE war. And how many times have they been, technically speaking, if you talk about the Ottoman Empire, they've had some clashes with the Persian dynasties back in the day. And so basically Iran is now at war with everybody at the same time, which is not really a good idea, because you tend to do this sort of thing if you have allies. Do you remember that little guy in Italy, Mussolini? At least he was smart enough to have some allies. He picked up the phone, said, Adolf, what are you up to? Adolf said, I'm just washing my mustache. He said, do you want to do things together? Should we call the Japanese, see what they're up to? And, you know, they had a good conversation. They said, okay, now we can do things together. Obviously, that was not the accurate description of how it started. But considering that the two main allies of the Islamic Republic, both China and Russia, have withdrawn, saying, we don't want anything to do with this, not directly, it's probably best for you not to start attacking your neighbors, because you're going to find out very, very soon. Also, even right now, I mean, their navy has been destroyed already anyway. Khomeini Jr. does dress in a very assassinatable clothing. I can't believe he's still alive, by the way. Mojtaba Khomeini. The crowd energy tells it all. Oh, yeah, the pro-IRGC guys. That was the other thing. I don't want to make fun of smaller protests or smaller crowds, because I've been part of smaller protests. You know, anybody that turns up is still something, right? But the reality is, let me just show you it again, in case you missed it. It's not the number of people that came out. It's, for example, both videos. This one with the bikes, it's the lack of energy. Wait. Wait for the response. Just one guy responding. Just one guy was like, Khamenei will return home. So embarrassing. Anyway, Laura says, great history lesson. I always try to help you guys with a very, very precise and accurate description of what happened in history. Adolf was indeed washing his mustache instead of his hair, because it was always greasy. The crowd, oh yeah, that's the one. Superman. It looks like the IRGC members are working from home. Yeah, but the problem is, even they don't have internet. So they're probably faxing their friends in Yemen, the Houthis, because they still use fax machines. So that's the only way they could have some sort of communication with other smelly, beardy weirdies. Best news source when you are not on the air. 2C TV on repeat. Tricky question. Very, very tricky question. Well, there are not many new media geopolitical news channels. There's a couple. There's probably 2 or 3. Some of them are just reaction. We got Agenda Free TV, and I think he used to be a Democrat or whatever he is, Steve whatever, and he mostly reacts, obviously, reacts to ongoing stuff, so he doesn't report the news in that sense. There's a couple of others, I forgot the others' names, but mainstream-wise, it's tough. Considering even Fox News tonight accidentally reported fake news. It's not their fault. There was somebody from the White House, I'm guessing some sort of rogue intern, gave them a fake report. It happens, by the way. It happens to all of us. But I don't know. Let me know in the live chats who you think is also good or credible. The Enforcer, I forgot the Enforcer, guys. Yeah, the Enforcer is good for analysis, but he also reacts. He reacts to ongoing news, but he's very good at analyzing. But I don't know who Jimmy Dore is. Sounds more like a commentator, on YouTube rather than news. But let me just check it out. While we're here, why not? Is a comedian? Is a comedian? Is he a comedian? I don't get it. Seems to be doing more videos, like commentary, rather than news reporting. Asmongold, yeah, but he's great, but he's funny. But he does react. He doesn't do geopolitical news reports. There's no news channel, so yes, good for monitoring things, especially when it comes to any sort of military activities on the ground or in the air. Robin has joined the live chat very late. He's about, well, how long have we been on? 35 minutes? He's 35 minutes late. Says Fox News is reporting the Kurds are on the ground. They have mentioned it several times. Yeah, no. Okay, anyway, so yeah, I'll have a look at the rest of you guys. Goldie. Goldie's not a news channel. She's a good friend of mine. It's not a news channel. She does a great job, by the way, keeping everybody active and informed and awake by reacting to everything that happens. Something about... Oh, God. No, not those guys. I'm not even going to put down the screen. That is definitely not a news channel. I don't think you guys know what a news channel is. Slightly confused about this. Anyway, Jack Hibbs just used your video again. Oh, no, it's the same one. Last weekend. Yeah, you did that last weekend, a few days ago. Wondering if you believe in Bible prophecy and if you're a Christian. I am indeed Team Jesus. I am a Christian. And, yeah, I'm a good Christian. Every Sunday. Not just every Sunday, but only Sundays I'm a Christian. Monday to Saturday, you know, you can do whatever you want. I'll do it. Listen to Vatican. TCTV, the only news source to trust. Brilliant. If you talk to the Italian mafia, they would tell you, Monday to Saturday, you do whatever you want to do. On Sundays, you go and confess, and you repeat the same thing. But that is not a good Christian. It's probably best not to do naughty things. Not too much naughty things. But yeah, confession helps. Sanandaj is under attack. Massive explosions. Definitely not gas leaks. Not gas leaks. And British Stan, yes. Good friend of mine. Good for British news. Very, very good. Okay, so what is happening? From my understanding, our relationship with the Iranian Kurds is not hostile or friendly. Who's we? Americans? We just leave each other alone. Is this correct? But I don't know who's we. Who's we? Is this... I don't know who you are. American, Iranian, German? Yeah. If it's American, yeah, I mean, they're fine. I mean, the rest of Iran are also fine with the Iranian Kurds. Not the separatists, but the Iranian Kurds. Speaking of Fox News, yesterday after Congress was briefed, they kept cutting off the Republicans, explaining their stance, but let the Democrats whine for hours. It helps with the clicks. If you just keep showing the Democrats whining, it's good for the views, good for the ratings. But yeah, that's not a good thing to do, by the way. The Americans are still not at the airport. Which airport? That could be any airport. What about the supposed burning hospitals and trapped kids? Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, that was the other nonsense that they were reporting. The only people that fell for that nonsense, IRGC said that the Americans are hitting schools and hospitals, or kids are dead or whatever. And then we discovered, obviously, these disgusting, vile animals, the IRGC, hit a school themselves, and those poor kids got killed. No other school or hospital was hit. There was no evidence, and they decided to move their own troops into schools, which are now empty because the kids are not going to school. And right now, they are legitimate targets. But even now, the Americans or the Israelis are not hitting them. This is just disgusting behavior. The only people that fell for that narrative was the likes of Tucker Carlson and his friends, who were saying, "Yeah, about the Jews are controlling the world," and they tricked the Americans. They put something in the air. President Trump smelled it, and then basically he decided to hit hospitals. I'm like, what are you talking about? Have you heard anything about how the situation in Gilan is? Maybe from Lahijan? My family is there. I'm afraid not. We haven't had any latest updates from this area. I don't think they were being hit. There were some strikes 2 days ago or yesterday around Gilan, because there was a missile storage there, or a missile launcher. I can't remember whatever it was. But they're fine. They're simply fine. I mean, my dad lives in Tehran. He lives next door to an IRGC base, and apparently that base has been hit like multiple times, and he's still alive, so he's doing fine. Hopefully your family are also okay. Well, it's at least nice to see that the IRGC is staying positive, delusional, but a positive outlook. Pakistan wins only in Bradford. They can't win in Bradford. It's full of Bangladeshis. There's so many Bangladeshis in Bradford, although it's still a huge chunk of Pakistanis. Do you think the IRGC are going all out to cause World War III? Their oopsie in Turkey may be the first of many oopsies. Well, I think they think that they don't want to cause World War III, but they think if they just go crazy, they will put pressure on everybody. So they put pressure on President Trump to stop the war. So, which on paper, theoretically, that's not a bad idea, but they've gone too far. They could have done that by just hitting 1 or 2 bases in the Middle East, actual US bases, not random residential buildings in Dubai or Doha. No, that's a terrible idea. If they just did a couple of bases, yeah, the Arabs could have said, "Oh, America, maybe you should stop attacking Iran." But at this point, President Trump and his team spent months lobbying the Persian Gulf Arab countries, preparing them, making deals with Qatar and everybody else. This is not going to be stopped. It's not going to be easy for the IRGC to stop this. The Iranian explanation to Turkey is, whoops, sorry, we missed this by 75 kilometers. Yeah, it wasn't even that close. Yeah, we'll go for Cyprus. Then why did you not hit Cyprus? Don't know. Can't wait to see Chunky Yogurt's face if Turkey does retaliate. Oh yeah, what's going to happen with Cenk from the Young Turks? Which side is he going to be on if Turkey hits Iran? Oh, I know what he's going to do. He's just going to do fence sitting. Oh, I'm just anti-war. Can we just stop attacking each other while eating chicken nuggets? That's all he does. Thank you for your great reporting. How is the Iranian Jewish community doing right now? Are they safe? I mean, the civilians are fine overall. Obviously, there's always casualties, but this is not like Baghdad, where thousands and thousands of civilians got killed. Even that was over time. It wasn't during the first hour of the conflict. I hope karma comes for Starmer for what he has pulled on the UK and our allies and the Iranians. I also went to pray at the Chichester Cathedral for the Iran's freedom and their safety. Well, you are lovely. Thank you very much. It will be easy to say that Russia is using Iran to draw NATO countries' resources away from Ukraine, but wouldn't Iran striking US embassies also trigger, say, the Article 5 in NATO? Yes and no. No. It won't be necessary. You don't necessarily need to pull out the big guns of NATO. The IRGC are already getting hammered, so you're not dealing with a major, massive monster of an enemy. There's no fear. They are running out of missiles anyway. They have a lot of drones, but it's not as dangerous as ballistic missiles. And the only issue with the IRGC is cleaning them out is hard. Now, if you thought Gaza was difficult, Gaza was hard, and it's still hard, because the majority of Gazans are not helping anybody, let alone the Israelis, to wipe out Hamas. That's different. In Iran, if there are even like 5 ground forces just on the ground saying, okay, hello, Mr. Iranian, can you let me know where the IRGC are hiding? They will say, right there, go get him. Everybody's going to help whoever's going to be on the ground. So when the time comes to clean it up, it's still going to take time because Iran is a huge country. That's the problem. And they could hide wherever. But you will get massive support from the Iranian people and the armed forces to go and finish the job off. Anyway, there's a lot of other super chats here. What's this? I ordered my US, Israel, lion and sun flag, my country, my homeland, and our best friends, hoping that I still have a flight to Israel for Passover. Half of my husband's family is there now. I will sit in shelter for Iran's freedom. Well, I'm supposed to be going to Israel next month. I'm speaking at the JNS conference in Jerusalem, but I have decided I'm staying in Tel Aviv. I'm not doing Jerusalem again. With all due respect to everybody watching from Jerusalem, love your city. It's nice to visit, the old city and everything else. I'm not staying there. When you have Tel Aviv, I have to be by the beach with my cocktails, not doing Jerusalem again. I'm going to stay in Tel Aviv and I'm going to drive to Jerusalem every day for the JNS conference. But at this point, I'm not really sure if that's still going to be possible, at least in terms of flights. Although, we still have a month to go, so it might all be over. I mean, that's very optimistic to think, but you never know. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. We're going to come back with more updates as we get them. I'm Maya Tusi, and we are the media.
when that soldier was fighting Israel.